my child. Today I want to take you beyond everything you have ever called normal, beyond the quiet frameworks the world has wrapped around your heart like invisible walls. From the day you were born, you learned to see life through narrow boundaries. You came to believe you were just a small existence among many, that your worth depended on what you could achieve, on what others said about you, on what you owned, on the places within your reach. You became accustomed to numbers, timelines, and dividing lines, age, health, titles, income, abilities. All these measurements, layer upon layer through the years, wove around you a dense net that made you believe you were confined to a limited life, that you were allowed to dream only within the range of what your eyes could see, what your hands could touch, what your mind could calculate. But listen to me, my child. You were not born to walk endlessly through narrow corridors built by fear and habit. You were created to step into a greater dimension than anything you have imagined, where the limitations of human frailty are no longer chains, but simply doors leading you into a deeper reality. I know there have been moments when you stood before thresholds that made your heart tremble. There were dreams you once held tightly, then abandoned halfway, because the world told you that you were not enough. There were choices you longed to make, yet you pulled back because you feared loss, feared being mocked, feared being alone. There were days when you looked at your life and wondered, is this all there is? Was I born only to survive and then disappear as though I never existed? These questions are not weaknesses. They are the quiet echoes of my calling, awakening in you the desire for a life that rises above human fences. Every time your heart tightens, when you must do something your conscience does not agree with simply because everyone does it. Every time you feel weary from chasing standards your soul never desired. Every time you feel empty, even when you hold what others call success. None of those moments are signs of failure. They are signs that you were created for a different depth, a different breadth, a different height that the world's rulers and measurements cannot contain. You are a masterpiece, shaped by my own hands, not a product of chance, and I have planted within you a seed that cannot be locked inside the small square boxes of shallow judgments. Those who walked the earth before you stood many times before the same question you are facing now. An old father once left his homeland, left the familiar soil, left every earthly certainty, simply because he heard a voice saying, "Go to the land that I will show you." He did not know exactly where he was going, but he knew the one who called him. A young shepherd stepped forward before a towering warrior, not because he was stronger, but because he refused to let himself be defined by armor, spears, or stature, and chose instead to be defined by his faith in the one who had been with him in the wilderness. A simple fisherman stepped out of a small boat and placed his feet upon the surface of the water, something incapable of holding human weight, simply because he heard an invitation saying, "Come." They are vivid testimonies that limitations do not lie in the road ahead, but in whether you will trust the voice that calls you. The world tells you to calculate, to stay safe, to secure a way out. I call you into the space where faith leads the way, where obedience opens doors your reasoning could never touch. I do not ask you to deny reality, but I invite you to see reality with eyes awakened by me. And when you do, the walls you once thought were absolute will reveal themselves to be nothing more than morning mist before dawn. My child, the limits you face are not only the ones outside of you. There are deeper, more invisible boundaries that bind you more tightly than any physical chain. They are the words spoken to you since childhood. You can't do it. You are nothing. You will drag others down. You don't deserve anything good. They are the disappointments you have lived through, quietly shaping your conclusions about yourself. I always fail. I am always the last one. I only burden others. I am not worthy of love. These sentences, though never written down, were etched onto your heart like hidden verdicts. Because you believed them, You shrank yourself, built inner walls, and cut off possibilities I longed to open in you. You didn't dare step outside your comfort zone. You didn't dare receive opportunities I sent. You didn't dare love deeply or trust boldly because you feared that if you were hurt again, you would not survive it. But listen to me, those accusations did not come from me. I do not call you by the names that make you shrink. I call you by the name I have engraved on the palms of my hands. I do not look at you through the lens of your falls. I see you as I saw you in the beginning, a soul marked with my likeness, capable of loving, receiving, giving, and rising far beyond every failure you have experienced. That is why today, I do not come to add another burden to you, or to scold you for living too long in fear. I come to speak gently yet clearly. It is time for you to step out of the ropes tightening around your mind and your heart. It is time to stop letting painful experiences decide the rest of your journey. It is time to stop letting old verdicts from others or from yourself define who you are. I am not asking you to leap over a chasm by your own strength. I am extending my hand to you. I am not requiring you to possess a great faith instantly. I only ask that you dare to take the first step, trembling, if you must, onto the new path I am opening. Rising above earthly limits does not begin with some dramatic upheaval. It begins with a small but honest decision, the decision to trust me more than the threatening voices within, the decision to step out of familiar ruts, to live according to the quiet light inside you, the decision to let me be the standard of your life instead of the gaze of others. You may say to me, but this way of living is all I've ever known. I am afraid of change. I am afraid of losing things. I am afraid that if I let go of what I am holding, I will have nothing left. I understand those tremblings, for I have seen every wound in your history. I know why you learned to cling to fragile things as if they were lifelines, even when they only weighed your heart down. I do not despise your fear, but I will not let fear be the final voice. I've not come to wrench you out of this world, but to gently open your eyes, so you can see that what you cling to is not a foundation at all, but shifting shadows. I am not asking you to deny earthly joys, but to place them in their rightful place, no longer idols that sit on the throne, but gifts to be thankful for, tools that help you grow in love. When you place me at the center, the limits that once suffocated you will begin to loosen. You will discover that true freedom does not come from doing whatever you want, but from living in the truth about yourself and about me. Child, rising above earthly limits is not an escape from life. It is learning to live this very life from a higher dimension. It is when you do your daily work not as a meaningless burden, but as a place to sow seeds of faithfulness, integrity, and gentleness. It is when you face injustice, yet refuse to let bitterness devour you, choosing instead to stand on the side of truth with humility. It is when you feel weary, yet within that weariness you choose to come to me, to open your heart, to breathe deeply in my presence, instead of collapsing into self-condemnation or numbness. Every time you choose love over retaliation, forgiveness over resentment, generosity over self-preservation, you take another step out of the cramped cages of ego and fear. You move closer to the inner room where I am the source. This rising begins today in the small things, in the decisions no one else notices. I see every effort. I uphold every hesitant step. I rejoice in every moment when you dare to believe you were created for something greater than what has made you bow your head. My child, there will come a day when every limitation of earthly existence will be lifted, when time no longer measures the span of your years, when the heaviness of exhaustion no longer rests on your body, when the questions of when, how long, and am I worthy no longer cling to your heart. I do not speak of this to frighten you, but to let you know that even now, in the midst of your present boundaries, you are being prepared for a realm of life where every courageous choice you make in love and trust will blossom fully. The small steps of overcoming you take today are not meaningless. They are like the steady footsteps that lead you closer to me. I am inviting you in this very moment to begin that journey with me. The journey of walking out from the invisible cages of fear, guilt, shame, and hollow ambition, and entering the vast inner space where you live, move, and exist in me. In that place you will slowly learn that you are not confined by your past, not bound by the labels people placed upon you, not defined by what you lost or what you have not yet achieved. You are defined by one truth alone: you belong to me. And when you begin to live from that truth, every earthly boundary will gradually lose its power to make you bow your head, because you will have lifted your eyes and seen that I am waiting for you to walk further. My beloved child, every external limitation, the conditions of your life, the judgments of others, the opportunities that slipped away, the dreams that were delayed, is only the surface of a thick veil. What truly burdens your soul, what holds you back the longest, is not what your eyes see, but what your heart believes. From the beginning, the enemy of your soul has never tried to steal what is in your hands. It has always tried to plant a lie in your heart so that you would shrink yourself, conclude that you cannot overcome, cannot change, cannot move forward. It never needed to build a prison around you. It only needed to convince you that you were imprisoned. That is why, my child, the journey beyond earthly limitations begins not with an outward battle, but with an inward awakening. I know there have been nights when you lay awake without anyone noticing. You remembered the failures that once brought you to your knees, the betrayals that wounded you more deeply than you could admit, the tears you held back because you did not want anyone to see, the moments when you wondered if anyone truly understood you, if anyone was truly with you. And even when you put on a smile for the world inside, you felt pieces of yourself breaking. You thought you were weak because you were hurt so easily. But hear me, you feel deeply because your soul is tender, because you have the capacity to love deeply, because you are moved by what is good. A heart of stone does not ache, but neither can it love. It is your sensitivity, your sincerity, your longing for what is true that mark my imprint on you. These are the very places that I desire to use to lead you beyond the limits of fear. Do you know why you hurt when you are dishonored? Because you were created to live in dignity. Do you know why deceit unsettles you? Because you were formed in truth. Do you know why you long for deep love? Because you were born out of my unfailing love. These emotions are not weaknesses. They are signposts pointing to where you truly belong. But when the world distorts these things, when you are insulted, betrayed, or taken advantage of, they become wounds that make you doubt yourself, doubt others, and doubt even me. And that is where earthly limits begin to tighten, the limit of self-protection, the limit of fearing closeness, the limit of fractured trust. You try to shield yourself to avoid further pain, but in doing so, you build walls that block out even the light. I do not condemn you for building those walls. I know every brick came from a hurt you had to bear alone. But I come today to tell you that it is time for me to help you dismantle them one by one, not by force, not by pressure, but by healing. I do not ask you to be strong. I only ask you to be honest. You do not need to pretend you are unhurt. I simply want you to let me enter the place where you are wounded most deeply, because that is where the limits cling the tightest. Do you remember the woman who bled for 12 years? She was not truly held back by the crowd, by the law, or by her low status in society. Those were outer coverings. Her greatest limit was what she believed about herself, that she was unworthy to draw near to me, that I was too great, and she was too small. Yet in one moment of believing that I was not distant from her pain, she dared to reach out and touch the hem of my garment, and instantly something beyond all earthly limits happened. What I did that day, I still do today. There is no wound in you too deep, no corner within you too dark for me to enter. You do not reach me with your hand, but with a small, sincere faith, and that is what opens the door beyond the limits you have lived with for far too long. My child, The limits you think are destiny are actually memory. They cling to you because you have lived under them for so long. You were abandoned once, so you believe you are unworthy of love. You failed once, so you believe you ruin everything. You tried many times but saw little progress, so you believe you were born to be behind. But these things are not your identity. They are simply old chapters in your story. If you keep treating them as definitions, you will lock the door of your own life and never see the new doors I am opening for you. You are not bound by your past. You are not trapped in old wounds. You are not condemned by former mistakes. You are not limited by the eyes of others. These things are only dust clinging to your wings in a stormy season. They cannot break them. I have placed within you a soul capable of rising again, capable of standing again, capable of going beyond, not by your strength but by mine within you. The limitations you see in yourself have never been barriers to me. I do not wait for you to be perfect before I act. I do not demand that you be spotless before I draw near. I do not require your strength before you follow me. I come to you precisely in the moments when you are weakest, because it is often in those moments that your heart is most open. When you are empty, I have room to fill. When you are shattered, I have space to heal. When you are lost, I have the opportunity to guide you. You believe your shortcomings make you less worthy, but in my eyes, those very gaps are the places where I plant my light. There are moments when you stand before a choice to step toward me with all your imperfections, or to turn back to old patterns simply because they feel familiar. Each time you choose to take even a slow, trembling step toward me, you have already crossed an earthly boundary. Every time you forgive, you rise above the instinct to cling to pain. Every time you dare to speak the truth, you rise above the fear of being misunderstood. Every time you choose to trust, you rise above the voice of pessimism within yourself. You do not need to leap. You only need to step. I will take care of the rest. I see every one of your steps. I know every breath you regain. And every moment you try again, I look at you with joy. Many times you think I am silent, but I am simply waiting for your heart to become quiet enough to hear me. You think I am slow, but I am preparing something far greater than what you asked for. You think I am distant, but I am moving closer so gently that you cannot perceive it. When you believe you are abandoned, that is often the moment I am working most deeply within you, doing the kind of work no one else can see, but that one day you yourself will feel in unmistakable ways. No limitation in your life has the authority to determine your ending. No circumstance can close a door I intend to open. No one can take what I have planned for you. No wound is too deep for me to heal. No failure is too large for me to turn into a testimony of grace. You think you are stuck in a cycle that never changes, but I tell you the truth, you are in the middle of a transformation, and every small step forward is leading you to a place where your limitations will lose their power. And then a time will come when you realize you are no longer the person you once were. You will find yourself lighter when releasing what does not belong to you. You will find yourself braver when facing challenges. You will find yourself calmer in situations that once made you tremble. These changes do not arrive in a single day. They come through every moment you allow me to touch the places you once hid. Forgiving one more time, being patient a little longer, loving one step deeper, softening when your heart wants to harden, praying when you feel like giving up. Each of these is a victory over earthly limits. What I desire most is not that you overcome by your own strength, but that you allow me to walk with you. When you entrust your weakness to me, I give you strength. When you place your greatest fear in my hands, I give you peace that surpasses understanding. When you open your heart to me, I open the path before you. And on this journey, you will gradually realize that going beyond earthly limits is not an escape from this life, but a way of seeing this life through my perspective, where every chain is temporary, where your soul is larger than your fear, where love is stronger than failure, where light surpasses darkness, and where your identity is rooted not in the fleeting labels of the world, but in the eternal truth I placed within you from the beginning. My beloved child, now that you have begun to see that the limits of this life are not unbreakable walls, I want to take you into deeper waters, into a place where overcoming is not merely stepping out of fear, but stepping into an entirely new way of living where your soul moves to a rhythm the world cannot comprehend. You have lived too long under the pressure to prove yourself, to achieve, to reach some standard, to grow fast enough so you would not be left behind. The world taught you that your value depends on what you accomplish and what others think of you. But these are nothing more than masks society has placed over your soul, hiding the true light I placed within you from the beginning. I know you have tried living the world's way because you did not want to fall behind, did not want to seem less capable, did not want to be dismissed as weak or insignificant. You tried to hide your fears behind a strong facade. You tried to cover your cracks with silence. You tried to harden yourself to survive in a place filled with demands. But hear me, none of these efforts have made you freer. They have only drawn you further from the truth of who you are. True rising does not come from forcing yourself to be stronger one more time. It comes from letting go of what does not belong to your soul. I did not create you to chase shadows, but to walk in light. Some limits do not come from wounds, but from burdens you have not yet recognized. They arise from the expectations of others that you have carried so no one would be disappointed. They arise from promises you made out of fear of losing love or approval. They arise from the belief that you must be perfect to be accepted. These are the things that create the heavy armor wrapped around your soul. You wear it to protect yourself, but the longer you wear it, the more weary, slow, and distant from yourself you become. And today, I invite you with gentleness and authority to slowly take off that armor. You do not need it before me. You do not need it to be loved. You do not need it to be seen. In the world, when someone removes their armor, they become more vulnerable. But in me, when you lay aside what burdens you, you become stronger, because your strength reconnects with mine. Weakness does not make you smaller. It reveals the places where I can touch you. The cracks in your soul are the places where my light enters most deeply. When you stop striving to prove yourself, you become more open. When you stop pretending to be strong, you become more authentic. And this authenticity is the key that unlocks the door beyond every limitation. Do you remember the woman who came to me carrying a jar of costly perfume that others considered wasteful? She walked into a room filled with judgmental eyes, yet she did not let those eyes limit her. In that moment, love was stronger than fear of being criticized. When love leads, earthly limits shrink, and you too, my child, will be the same. When you begin living from love, the love I place within you, the love that sees goodness in others, the love that bends down, listens, and protects what is fragile, you will discover that the barriers you feared were only illusions. Fear thickens boundaries, love dissolves them. I want you to understand that overcoming is not merely stepping out of what is old, but stepping into what is true. A true life is not a sequence of days without disruptions, challenges, or inner wrestlings. A true life is the life in which your soul is connected to me, where everything you do, every word you speak, every choice you make flows from my presence within you. In that place, you are no longer governed by comparison, envy, or insecurity, but by a steady peace. This peace does not come from everything unfolding the way you hope. It comes from knowing that I am with you in every step you take. When you walk with me, you begin to see that many things you once called limitations are simply reminders that you were never meant to walk alone, that you were made to learn, that you were designed to follow my lead. Limits no longer threaten you. They become invitations. You have asked me so many times, why do I still feel small? Why am I still weak? Why do I remain so sensitive and easily wounded? I answer you with this truth. You are small, so that you will not forget that I am your strength. You are weak, so that you will not carry every burden alone. You are sensitive, so that your heart will not shut itself away from what is good. I did not make you into a cold, unfeeling stone. I shaped you as a heart capable of trembling, so that love can flow in and out of you. But because of this very design, you must learn how to make me your refuge, your fortress, your source of life. If you try to manage everything by your own strength, you will run into boundaries you cannot break. But when you live in me, those boundaries no longer imprison you. They become pathways into a deeper relationship with me. Do not imagine that overcoming is something that happens once and then lasts forever. It is a journey. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel fragile. Some moments your confidence will be clear. Some moments you will doubt yourself. Some seasons you will feel me near. Some seasons you will wonder whether I am silent. None of these moments push you off the path. They simply reveal that you are alive. I do not ask you to always be fine. I only ask that you do not run from me on the days you are not fine. When you come to me in the midst of confusion that is overcoming, when you refuse to hide your pain and bring it to me instead, that is overcoming, when you do not let fear make your choices for you even when your heart trembles, that is overcoming. To rise above the limits of this world, you do not need to prove anything to me. You only need to offer me your heart. You do not need to present yourself beautifully. You only need to be honest. You do not need to erase your wounds. You only need to let me see them. Bring me what you carry, fear, anger, disappointment, shame, weariness, and I will give you what you cannot create on your own. Rest for your soul. You exhaust yourself because you try to overcome through effort. But overcoming is not you pushing yourself forward. Overcoming is you allowing me to lift you. You have lived too long believing that you must do everything on your own, that you must be good enough to be accepted, that you must always be strong so that no one can hurt you, that you must be flawless so you will not be rejected. But I come to tell you that all these beliefs are invisible chains binding your soul. You do not need to strive to be worthy of me. I chose you already. You do not need to appear strong to keep your place in my heart. You were in my heart long before you knew me. You do not need to hide anything so that I will not turn away. I have seen all things, and I am still here. Earthly limitations do not define you. I define you. Your body is fragile, but your soul carries a mark that is eternal. Your experiences are finite, but your destiny is not. You live in a world that fades, but your inner being was created for a realm that does not decay. When you understand this, overcoming no longer feels like a heavy assignment, but like a homecoming, returning to yourself, returning to me, returning to the original truth. One day when you look back at the things that frighten you now, you will see that they were never as powerful as you thought. You will see that the things that once made you weep became the places where I planted endurance. You will see that the confusing detours brought you closer to me. You will see that every boundary you once called a wall was truly a doorway leading you into a deeper layer of life in me. And in that moment you will understand that every step of overcoming, whether trembling or bold, was guiding you into a reality where no limit can bind your soul. My child, now that you have begun to step past the limits that surrounded your life for so many years, I want to lead you into a new phase, the phase of spiritual sight, where you learn to see truth not with earthly eyes, but with the light I have placed within you. Because before your soul can live in true freedom, you must learn to see from a different angle. If you continue looking at life through old lenses, you will always feel confined within the frame that visible reality creates, its worries, its losses, its social constraints, its fears rooted in memory. You cannot enter a new life with old eyes. I must open your eyes, and that, my child, is what I am doing to you today. There are truths you can only see when you release the old to receive what I am revealing. When you believe that everything is only what your eyes can observe, you will live inside a space far too small for what I have destined for you. When you see each challenge only as a threat, you will miss the wisdom I am planting within you through those very challenges. When you look at others through comparison, you will fall into sadness or pride, neither of which your soul desires. When you look at yourself with judgment, you will shrink and hesitate to step out. But when your spiritual eyes are opened, you will no longer live in that narrow space. I know there are many moments when you ask yourself, why is it that in the same situation one person breaks while another grows? It is because they see through two different lenses. One looks at loss and believes it is the end. The other looks at loss and sees a doorway into transformation. One looks at hardship and believes they have been abandoned. The other looks at hardship and sees that I am shaping something within them. One looks at my silence and thinks I have withdrawn. The other looks at the same silence and knows I am working quietly in the depths. Do you see now, my child? It is not the circumstance that determines the direction of your soul. It is how you look at the circumstance that shapes your path. And that is why I come today to tell you the time has come for your eyes to be renewed, not by knowledge, not by reasoning, but by the gentle touch of my Spirit. When my Spirit comes, He does not merely heal your wounds. He adjusts the angle of your sight. You begin to see ordinary things in extraordinary ways. You see what others call failure become the place where I sow strength. You see what the world calls a dead end become a hidden passage leading you into a deeper encounter with me. You see delays not as rejection but as protection. You see my silence not as emptiness but as the space where your spirit grows. The world cannot understand this because it sees only with the eyes of flesh. It is judged by achievements, appearances, status, and fleeting things. It builds its entire value system around what does not last. You will never find the truth of your soul if you use the world's measurements. You will only see the truth when you look from within me. Let me tell you about the young shepherd boy I called from the fields. He had no impressive appearance, no remarkable strength, no influential background, but I do not see as the world sees. I do not focus on stature or glitter. I look at the heart. And when he stood before the giant warrior others feared, he did not see the enemy through natural sight, he saw through faith. People saw an impossible foe. He saw an opportunity to display my power. Do you see? The same scene, yet two ways of seeing, led to two entirely different outcomes. I am not asking you to become a legendary warrior or a hero of your time. I am only asking you to learn to see as he did, to look at your limitations not as barriers but as the very places where I myself will step in. When you view your life through eyes touched by me, you begin to realize that your finiteness is not an enemy, but the canvas where I reveal my infinity. There are things you are walking through right now that your natural eyes interpret as loss. But with spiritual sight, you will see that they are seasons shifting. There are doors closing that frighten you, but with open eyes you will see that I am guiding you toward a greater door. There are relationships you have been forced to release, and it hurts you deeply, but with my illumination you will know that I am protecting you from things you cannot yet understand. There are dreams that have broken midway, leaving you discouraged. But when you see with new eyes, you will realize that I am preparing a path wider, brighter, and far more enduring. My child, opening your spiritual eyes is not about changing the situation. It is about changing how you see the situation. You cannot choose everything that will happen to you, but you can choose how you look at it, and that choice determines whether your soul expands or shrinks. When your eyes open, you begin to recognize my presence even in the simplest moments. You see me in the sunrise, in the silence, in the slow steps you take each day. You see me in your tears, not as signs of defeat, but as the blossoming of honesty. You see me in your weariness, not as a limitation, but as a reminder that you were never meant to carry life alone. When your eyes are opened, you also begin to see yourself differently. You no longer see someone defined by past shame, but a soul being transformed. You no longer see someone lacking, but someone learning to lean on me. You no longer see someone trapped in a cycle, but someone being guided through each chapter. You no longer see yourself as someone losing, but as someone being pruned to bear even more fruit. Because, my child, you cannot live the life I designed for you if you keep looking at yourself only through what your natural eyes record. And when your eyes open, you will begin to see others as I see them. You will no longer judge quickly based on outward behavior. You will see the wounds hidden beneath their anger. You will see the lack beneath their hardness. You will see the loneliness behind their harsh words. You will begin to love with a love that is not yours alone but mine flowing through you. When you look at others through my eyes, you will see that many limits in relationships are born not from malice, but from misunderstanding, fear, and old wounds. And with clarity, you will know how to walk gently, forgive deeply, and remain patient instead of reacting from instinct. Spiritual sight is not a fleeting experience. It is a journey I long to walk with you daily. Each time you return to me, each time you pause in the midst of noise, each time you breathe slowly until your heart becomes still, I will touch your eyes a little more. I will widen your vision a little further. And that is how I will lead you into the truest life, the life that rises above every earthly limitation. And one day when you look back, you will realize that you are no longer living as you once did. Not because your circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. Not because the world has become easier, but because you have been given new eyes to see the values of eternity woven into even the smallest moments, and that, my child, is the beginning of true freedom. My beloved child, as your spiritual sight slowly awakens, you will begin to sense a shift, subtle yet profound. The world around you will no longer appear merely as its outward form, but will become a mirror reflecting the movement within your soul. You will recognize that what you once considered obvious truth was only the surface, while the truth I desire you to see lies beneath, where light and shadow intertwine, where meaning transcends appearance, where the roots of all visible things are connected to the unseen. You will enter a different realm of living, not a new environment outside, but a new space within your heart. I know you have spent years being ruled by outward impressions. Someone's smile made you feel inferior. Someone's compliment gave you worth. Someone's cold glance dragged you into shame. A small failure made you judge your entire life. A brief success made you believe you could stand by your own strength. But when your spiritual eyes open, you will know that you cannot measure your life by things so fleeting, for they are like shadows stirred by the wind, felt momentarily but impossible to hold. I want you to look deeper, to reach the soul-level reality where everything is truly decided. In this world, outward brightness and beauty are seen as signs of success. But in spiritual life, beauty is found in truth, in holiness, in the peace that flows from me. When my light enters your heart, you will see that true beauty is not what others see in you, but what you carry within a radiance born from a heart touched by me, and that beauty, my child, no one can take from you. As your spiritual sight opens, you will begin to discern what you could not distinguish before. You will learn to tell the difference between the voice of fear and the voice of my spirit. Fear whispers words that make you shrink back. Don't do it, you will fail. You are not enough. Don't trust anyone, they will hurt you. Stop trying, everything is over. Fear turns open doors into walls, new paths into abysses, and the future into a threat. But the voice of my spirit is different. He does not promise a life without difficulty, but he speaks. Do not fear, I am here. Step forward, I walk with you. Trust, for I have prepared the way. Lift your head, you are not alone. When your eyes are opened, you will recognize these two voices. And when you choose mine, the fog that has covered your soul for so long will begin to lift. Not everything the world applauds is what I desire for you, and not everything you fear is a sign that I have withdrawn. You will see this deeply. There are things I withhold not because you are unworthy, but because I am protecting you from what would crush your soul. There are trials I allow not to punish you, but to make you steady and strong. There are people you must release not because you are lacking, but because you would shrink beside them. There are opportunities I close not to hurt you, but to shield you from paths that do not belong to you. When your spiritual eyes open, the most painful revelations will also be the most liberating. You will realize the truth about things you clung to with all your strength. You will see that some things you thought were blessings were actually burdens covered in gold. You will see that some people you thought were anchors were only temporary shelters. You will see that some plans you thought were your life were merely one step in a much greater journey. The pain you feel is not because you lost them, but because you finally see the truth you once refused to face. I know that such clarity is not easy. It is like sunlight streaming into a room left dark for years. Its brightness stirs the dust and reveals what was long hidden. But if that light never came, you would remain in the shadows. The truth may sting at first, but it is the truth that sets your soul free. As your eyes open, you will begin to see your struggles through a completely new lens. You will see that every trial carries a lesson. Every wound opens a door to healing. Every collapse contains the seed of a stronger rising. You will understand that brokenness is not the end. It is the beginning of a new form. You will see that your suffering is not merely for endurance, but for shaping endurance, patience, and wisdom you could gain in no other way. When your spiritual eyes open, you will realize that in the days when I seemed most silent, I was working most deeply. There are lessons I cannot teach in the sunlight. I must lead you through the night so my light can be seen more clearly. There are truths you can hear only in stillness. I must silence the noise so my voice can emerge. My silence is never my absence. It is my presence in its most delicate form. You will begin to see life in depth. You will discern the difference between temptation and guidance. You will see what is merely beautiful on the surface and what truly carries life. You will no longer chase glittering things, for you know they do not last. You will no longer judge others by what they show, for every soul carries a hidden story. You will no longer demand life to be easy, for you will understand that hard days also shape the person you are becoming. You will walk with understanding instead of fear, with faith instead of desperation, with light instead of darkness. You will see me in the gentle words of a stranger, in a quiet moment, amid chaos in the breeze, that softens your heart, in timely reminders in your own breath and heartbeat, in the most ordinary things. For I am not only in grand events, I am in every detail. You will no longer walk as one pressed down by the shadows of fear and pain. You will walk as one who carries life within. You will bring my presence into the places you enter, my peace into your conversations, my tenderness to the wounded, my hope to barren places. When you see clearly, you help others see. When you are freed from darkness, you become a bearer of light. And this is not a burden, it is joy. For when your soul sees what is true, you begin to live what is true. A soul that sees clearly is a free soul. A free soul is a loving soul. And a loving soul carries me in every step. My beloved child, I now want to lead you into the next stage of your journey, inner rebirth. Seeing the truth is the beginning, but to live in that truth, your heart must be renewed daily. You cannot walk the path I have for you if your heart still carries old judgments, old fears, old habits, and old wounds. I did not make you simply to see clearly. I made you become new with courage, purity, and strength the world cannot take away. Rebirth is not the alteration of one part of you. It is transformation at the root. It begins deep in the soul, where long-buried pain lies, where you hide what you fear to face, where old words spoken in your childhood still cling to you. You have lived so long with these layers of dust that you have mistaken them for your identity. But hear me, you are not what happened to you. You are not the labels placed on you. You are not the harsh words that once wounded you. You are the soul I created, and I did not create you with even a trace of disappointment. Rebirth begins when you realize that what you once believed to be your nature was in fact only your defense. You thought you were slow to trust, but in truth you were protecting a heart that had once been betrayed. You thought you were strong, yet you were simply trying to fill the emptiness left by old wounds. You thought you were cold, but it was fear. Fear that if you opened your heart one more time, you would be hurt again. You thought you were inadequate, but that was only the lingering echo of words others once pressed onto you. Do you see it now? That is not who you are. It is only the shadow life cast over your soul, a shadow that has never been stronger than the light I am bringing into you now. Rebirth happens when you allow me to enter the places you have kept hidden, the longest, not the tidy places, not the successful places, not the proud places, but the places where you are weak, where you hurt most, where you fear to look, where you imagine even I would not want to touch. Yet those are precisely the places I long to work first. You have tried to hide them for too long. You feared that exposure would lead to judgment. You believed I only saw you when you were strong. But I want you to know that I understand every shadowed corner of your heart more clearly than you understand yourself. I do not despise those places. I come to heal them. Do you remember the Samaritan woman at the well? She carried a life marked by brokenness, by poor choices, by relationships that left her with a ruined reputation. She came to the well at noon to avoid the eyes of others, a sign of a soul torn apart. But I waited for her there. I did not wait for her in the synagogue, nor in a crowd, nor when she felt holy or worthy. I waited for her at the deepest point of her shame, and with nothing more than a quiet conversation, I transformed her heart and made her a bearer of light. Do you see, rebirth does not happen where you are strong. It happens where you are broken. Rebirth also begins when you learn to release what no longer belongs to your soul. You cannot step into a new season while clutching remnants of the old one. You cannot grow if you continue to hold your pain as proof of your identity. You cannot rise if you keep tying yourself to what once convinced you that you were small. I know there are things you hold on to not because they are good, but because they are familiar. But hear me, familiar does not mean right. Comfortable does not mean guided. Safe does not mean alive. My child, rebirth begins when you dare to step away from old patterns, no longer living according to others' expectations, no longer allowing the past to shape your future, no longer living merely to avoid being hurt, no longer burying yourself in stories that no longer serve your soul. A reborn heart is a heart that begins to hear my voice more clearly than all others. A reborn heart is one that dares to become tender again, not tender to be weak, but tender to love. A reborn heart is one that no longer clings to others for worth, for it knows its value comes from the truth I placed within it from the beginning. A reborn heart is one that no longer chases worldly glitter, for it has discovered a deeper beauty in my presence. There are things I have prepared for your life that you can only receive when your heart is ready. It is not that I delay. I simply will not plant spring seeds in winter soil. Rebirth is the season when the soil of your heart softens, becomes fertile, becomes ready to receive my seeds. This is why there were times I allowed you to pass through pain to break the hardened ground within you. This is why I allowed you to meet silence, so your inner soil could settle. This is why I allowed you to walk through darkness, so your heart would learn to long for light more than ever. A reborn heart is also a discerning heart. You will begin to see clearly what comes from me and what springs from ego or fear. You will recognize the difference between the world's urgency and my spirit's gentle yet authoritative whisper. You will begin to ask deeper questions. Does this make my soul expand or shrink? Does this draw me closer to God or pull me away? Does this nourish or destroy? A reborn heart no longer makes decisions from fleeting emotions, but from the truth. It has begun to see. Rebirth does not come in a single flash. It comes in layers, in rhythms, in breaths. I am not impatient. I do not demand instant perfection. I open the doors of your heart, slowly heal wounds one by one, lift weary parts, and teach you how to breathe again. Each day you return to me is a day you are renewed a little more. Each time you choose love over fear, you are reborn as another step. Each time you forgive yourself, you walk further into freedom. Rebirth is not merely becoming different. It is becoming who you were meant to be from the beginning, someone free, someone strong, someone whose heart loves deeply, lives truthfully, and walks in light. You are not simply repaired, you are remade. You are not merely soothed, you are revived. You are not merely lifted, you are transformed. And when your heart is reborn, your life no longer moves according to fear, but according to an unshakable hope. My child, as rebirth begins touching the deepest layers of your soul, I want you to understand that this process is not merely the ending of the old, it is the beginning of an entirely new way of life. Many think rebirth feels like a sudden breeze clearing away life's dust, bringing instant lightness. But truly, my child, rebirth is like dawn unfolding. It does not crash all at once, but brightens gently, steadily pushing back darkness in a soft yet relentless progression. And in that light you begin to see things you never had the courage to face before. You once felt too small, so you rejected great gifts. You once were loved in broken ways, so you doubted real love when it came. You once received promises that were never kept, so you hesitated when I spoke of eternal ones. You once fell many times, so you feared standing up again. You once were left behind, so you did not dare to step forward. But when your heart is reborn, you no longer live like someone who must protect themselves from every risk. You live as one who knows, my love is a fortress, no threat can penetrate. Rebirth is not an easy journey. Some days you will feel light, as if you are rising. Other days you will feel as though you are back at the beginning. There will be mornings filled with peace and nights when old fears return. But this does not mean you have failed. These are simply the last layers being lifted off. A seed cannot pierce the ground in a single day. It must break through hardness, stretch through darkness, little by little, reaching for the light. Your soul is the same, and I am patient with every part of that growth. Inner rebirth is not only about emotions, it is also about how you think. So many of your past thoughts were not truths, but reactions to wounds left unhealed. There were words spoken over you that your mind carved into itself as commands. You are not good enough. You will never improve. You are unlovable. You only bring trouble. Over the years, these became mental prisons. You lived as though they were true, and every decision, big or small, was shaped by lies that never came from me. But when rebirth comes, I renew your thinking. You begin to recognize that not every thought passing through your mind is true. You realize you have the authority to choose what you believe. You begin to see that when a thought causes your soul to shrink, it is not from me. But when a thought enlarges your heart and leads you into peace, even if it is a correcting word, you know it is from me. Rebirth means your mind is renewed daily, so that false voices lose their power and my truth becomes the loudest voice within you. My child, rebirth does not only renew your thoughts, it heals your memories. Some memories you held as proof that you were unlovable, worthless, always disappointing. You looked at yourself through a fogged mirror of the past and saw only a distorted version of who you were. But I came to wipe that mirror clean. I come to show you that you are no longer the person you were yesterday. I come to teach you that those painful memories do not exist to drown you. They exist to testify that you survived, that you endured, that you walked out of places you once believed you would never escape. You are not what you remember. You are who I say you are. You will begin to see your old memories in a new light. The pain of yesterday becomes the foundation of today's compassion. The betrayal you once suffered becomes the wisdom that helps you discern the relationships you now hold. The silence of others becomes a reminder that only I am worthy of your whole heart. The tears you shed become seeds of endurance. The loneliness of the past becomes the very place where I come to dwell. Through this, my child, rebirth is not merely healing. It is the redefining of your entire story. Rebirth also leads you into an inner posture you once never had: gratitude. Not forced gratitude or artificial positivity, but gratitude rising from the deepest part of your soul because you finally see that nothing in your life has been wasted. Every season carries value. Every situation carries meaning. Every wound carries a lesson. Every joy is a sign that I have been walking with you. Gratitude is the clearest sign of a heart being reborn, because only a healed heart can look back and recognize my presence in every detail. Not only that, rebirth changes how you face the present. In the past, you panicked whenever things slipped out of your control. You tried to hold everything tightly so nothing would break. You tried to control the future because you feared repeating old pain. But when your heart is renewed, you no longer live with a defensive posture. You live with surrender. Not blind surrender, but surrender rooted in knowing that I love you, knowing that I lead you, knowing that I will never let you fall without lifting you up, knowing that I work all things for the good of your soul. As rebirth sinks deeper, you also begin to face the future differently. You stop running ahead of me. You stop trying to sketch everything according to your own plan. You are no longer driven by echoes of the past when you step into what is ahead. You know that when the time comes, I will open the door. When the moment is right, I will speak. When something belongs to you, no one can take it, and when something does not, no one can place it into your hands. Rebirth brings peace not because everything is clear, but because you know that I am clear. The most beautiful part of rebirth is not that you become perfect, but that you become true. You no longer wear masks to be accepted. You no longer pretend to be strong to be loved. You no longer hide your weakness out of fear of judgment. You live honest before me, and when you live honest before me, you begin to live honest before others. When your heart opens, those who need the light within you will find you. When you walk with a renewed heart, those who belong to your new journey will be brought beside you. And when you know who you are in me, you no longer lose yourself in what people say or fail to say. Rebirth makes you into the person I intended you to be from the beginning, one who loves with purity, who stands firm with humility, who lives with hope, who forgives with strength from me, who walks without trembling before the uncertainties of life. When your heart is renewed, nothing, not your past, not your circumstances, not the words of others, can stop what I am doing to you. My beloved child, rebirth leads you into a new purpose, a quiet but powerful calling to become a bearer of life wherever you go. The renewal I work within you is not only for your stability, but so you may become cool water for weary souls, comfort for those in despair, and a living testimony of the very light that sets you free. Rebirth always leads to being sent, not in the sense of accomplishing something grand in the eyes of the world, but in a deeper sense, the way you live will shape how others see me. You cannot receive true healing and continue living in bitterness. You cannot receive forgiveness yet cling to resentment. You cannot be set free yet live like someone still chained. You cannot taste my gentleness and remain hardened toward the pain of others. Rebirth does not only remake you, it remakes how you see people, how you see life, how you see yourself. You begin to recognize that every step you take carries my imprint, that every word you speak can sow life or sow decay. There are people I will place along your path simply so they can encounter the gentle light flowing from your renewed soul. They may not say it aloud, but their hearts will be lifted simply by the peace you carry. You do not need to preach loudly. You only need to live truthfully, to live lovingly, and live leaning on me. True light does not strain to shine, it simply radiates. I know you sometimes think life only truly begins when your circumstances change: new work, new relationships, new environments, new opportunities. But spiritual rebirth works the opposite way. Your new life begins inside, long before anything outside changes. Right where you are, in the same home, the same workplace, the same challenges, you can live with a renewed heart. And when your heart becomes new, the way you live becomes new, and when your way of living becomes new, everything else will change in my timing. Do not wait for circumstances to change before living a reborn life. Do not wait for someone to love you rightly before you learn to love. Do not wait for every wound to disappear before you become gentle. Do not wait for every question to be answered before you walk in peace. True rebirth does not depend on circumstances. It begins with an inner decision to let me lead, rather than letting fear decide your path. When you live from the inside instead of the outside, you step into a freedom no one can take away. Many think rebirth turns you into someone unrecognizable, but the truth is, this rebirth does not erase your personality. It makes it more true. You do not lose your gentleness. You simply stop allowing fear to suffocate it. You do not lose your passion. You stop letting comparison and others' expectations distort your inner fire. You do not lose your strength. You stop using it as a shield to hide your wounds. You do not lose your sensitivity. You simply allow me to direct it where I desire, instead of letting it pull you into anxiety. Rebirth is when you return to the very essence I breathed into you from the beginning. An essence not distorted by wounds, not covered by pretense, not frozen by fear. A reborn heart also begins to listen to things it once ignored. You will find yourself more sensitive to the whispers of the Spirit because the noise inside you has quieted. You will sense when I move you to stop, when I move you to move forward, when I desire you to be silent, and when I want you to speak. You will recognize my movement, the way a shepherd recognizes the footsteps of his flock in the stillness of the night. Not because you have become extraordinary, but because your heart has become attentive. Rebirth is not only so you can see yourself clearly, it is so you can see me in all things. In the smallest of things, a gentle breath, a steady heartbeat, a moment. No one else sees a slow step in the midst of a busy day. Where once you thought I only appeared in great miracles, now you will see me in the tiny details you used to overlook. Rebirth makes you aware that I am always near, not as an idea, but as a living reality, constantly moving around you, in you, and for you. My child, rebirth also brings you a great gift: freedom from the need to please everyone. When your heart is renewed, you no longer have to carry the burden of people's opinions. You are no longer bound by the fear of being misunderstood, criticized, or compared. You no longer let others decide your worth. You no longer let external expectations dictate the rhythm of your inner life. You no longer live to prove yourself. You live to reflect the truth I have planted in you. And when you live this way, you will find yourself light as a leaf resting on a stream, not weighed down by the judgments of this world, but carried by the current I have placed beneath your feet. When rebirth touches your relationships with others, you will begin to love the way I love, not hastily, not demanding, not controlling, not straining to become someone else. You will love without fear of loss because you know what is truly yours will remain. You will love without swallowing your hurt because you know I will give you the gentleness you need to speak the truth. You will love without groveling because you know your value does not come from what you do for others, but from the fact that you belong to me. Rebirth brings you into a kind of love that allows others to feel peace when they are near you. A love that does not pressure or burden, but always leans toward healing and growth. Rebirth changes the way you see time. You are no longer as impatient as before. You no longer try to run ahead into the future to find safety. You no longer cling to the past as a hiding place. You begin to live in the present, the place where I am. Here in this very moment you see the value of each breath. You see the beauty of the simple things you once despised. You see me in every moment, and so you no longer fear that you are missing your life. You cannot miss anything when you are living under my guidance. I want you to understand that rebirth is also preparing you for what I am about to entrust to you. Those things cannot be placed into hands that still tremble or into a heart still ruled by doubt. But when your heart is renewed, you become someone who can hold what I give without losing yourself. You will know how to step into great things without pride. You will know how to keep beautiful things without being ruled by fear of losing them. You will know how to walk in blessing without becoming a slave to pressure. I am training you so that you may receive glory without being crushed by it. You are no longer bound to your old identity. You are no longer the one who lives in fear, no longer the one trapped in sadness, no longer the one carrying shame, no longer the one who only knows how to blame yourself, no longer the one who shrinks back, hides away, or tenses up at the thought of the future. You are a new person, one who knows me more truly, knows yourself more truly, and knows your purpose more truly. You have been reborn to walk in freedom, in light, in peace, in a strength you have never known before. My beloved child, rebirth is not the destination. It is the doorway that leads you into what I have ordained for your life from the very moment I formed your soul in my thoughts. When your eyes have been enlightened, when your heart has been renewed, when your inner being has been lost from the chains of old shadows, you are ready to step into what no one but you can carry, the unique role I have woven into your very nature. For so long you have thought of yourself as just one among many trying to survive on this earth. You have thought your days were nothing more than a series of repetitive actions, but that has never been the truth. I have placed within you capacities that only your life carries. I have written into your soul lines and contours unlike any other soul. I have prepared encounters, opportunities, and turning points such that without you, the world would lack a particular piece of light. Not because you are better than others, but because I have entrusted to you a portion of my eternal plan and no one else can carry your part. Purpose is not something you invent. It is something you are called into. It is not success, not status, not favorable opportunities. Purpose is what I speak into your soul, the presence I set upon your life, so that you may become an instrument of the life I long to pour into this world. Purpose is the reason you are here, the heartbeat that turns your heart towards something greater than yourself. Purpose is the call you hear, even when the world is silent, a call that never stops resounding, even when you have tried to ignore it many times. And when your soul has begun to heal, when your heart has been cleansed of what is old, I want you to hear that call clearly. My child, purpose is not only found in great things, it is found in everything you do with a renewed heart. You may be the one who helps someone rise from despair with a single gentle word. You may be the one who plants hope in a soul that has grown barren. You may be the one who brings light into places where darkness has lingered too long. You may be the one who reminds someone that they are not meaningless, that they have value, that they are loved. Purpose is not always loud. Sometimes it appears in stillness, in small yet weighty moments where your soul touches another soul. You used to think you were not capable of making a difference. You thought your life was too ordinary to carry any significance. But you do not know that true light does not need to blaze to be powerful. It only needs to be present. Even a small lamp is enough to guide a lost traveler in the night. You do not need to become great in the eyes of the world to become a mighty instrument in my hand. You only need a heart that listens, obeys, and lives in the truth you have seen. When I place purpose within you, I do not ask you to accomplish it on your own. I walk with you. I open the way. I prepare resources. I send the right people. I clear away hindrances. I restored what was broken. I plant the right desires in your heart at the right time, in the right way, in the right context. The purpose I ordain is not a burden meant to exhaust you. It is a current meant to sustain your soul. When you step into your true purpose, you will feel that you no longer have to strain to live. You will sense that each step has weight, each day has meaning, each word carries value, each action has a lasting echo. For years, you have lived as though purpose only comes from the outside, from work, roles, projects, plans, talents. But the truth is, this purpose begins on the inside. It begins with a renewed heart, with a deep awareness that I am with you, with knowing who you are in me. When the inside of you is rightly ordered, everything outside you will naturally fall into place. Conversely, if your inner life is chaotic, no matter how orderly things look on the outside, you will still feel lost. You have spent years longing for others' recognition, for favorable conditions, for the right opportunity to come. Yet what I desire is that you step into purpose right now in the present, without waiting for anything to change first. Purpose does not arrive when everything becomes perfect. Purpose appears when you decide to walk with the new heart I have given you. When you wholeheartedly live in the truth, your calling will emerge right where you stand. I want you to understand that true purpose is always tied to restoration. Not only restoration for you, but restoration for those you will meet. You are reborn not only so you may be set free, but so that the renewal within you may become a stream flowing out to others. There are people I have prepared for you to meet in the future. They are in darkness now, carrying pain, longing for someone who carries my light to touch them. You do not yet know who they are, but when the time comes, you will realize that what you went through was not meaningless. It equipped you to become an answer for them. Your purpose is not to escape the world, but to walk into it with a renewed soul. Not to bring your ego to build your own name, but to bring light where it is needed. Not to prove your worth, but to reflect truth. Not to do extraordinary things by human standards, but to do ordinary things in an extraordinary way, with love, with wisdom, with perseverance, with a true heart. I have written into your life a chapter no one else can carry. Not because you are perfect, but because you have allowed me to transform your heart. Not because you are the strongest, but because you have learned to surrender. Not because you are the most capable, but because you are willing to listen. And it is this listening that will lead you into the right actions, the right encounters, the right steps. Remember, this true purpose is never separate from my presence. If you walk without me, you will burn out. If you try to open your own way, you will lose direction. If you chase after earthly glory, you will lose yourself. But if you walk under my guidance, you will not only find what I have ordained for you, you will become what I have ordained for you. Purpose is not merely what you do. Purpose is who you become. You are ready to step into the new. You are ready to live with a restored heart. You are ready to receive the role I wrote for you before time began. You are no longer bound by the past, no longer imprisoned by fear, no longer driven by doubts about your worth. You have been made new to step into purpose, a purpose that does not come from people, does not depend on circumstances, and cannot be shaken by time. You were born for this. My beloved child, when you have taken the first steps into the purpose that was ordained for your soul, I want to lead you further deeper to the place where you not only understand that you have a purpose, but also know how to live in that purpose each day. For purpose is not a distant summit you conquer once in your life. It is a rhythm of living a way your spirit moves, a harmony between your heart and my gentle guidance. Purpose does not bloom in a single explosive moment. It grows through perseverance, through each small decision, through every moment you choose faithfulness over giving up, choose love over closing your heart, choose to keep walking rather than stopping, because of fear. My child, purpose does not begin in prominent places. It begins in the hidden ones. I often sow my call into what seems most ordinary, the place where you are doing unnoticed tasks, where you are patiently carrying small responsibilities, where you are choosing to remain faithful, though no one is watching. It is precisely in those nameless places that I am laying the foundation for the greater things you will step into. If the inner foundation is not firm, you will not be able to carry the weight of glory without being crushed by its pressure. You used to think that to live your purpose you had to change environments or step into something spectacular. But listen to me, purpose does not depend on where you are, it depends on your heart. When your heart is moving in rhythm with my leading, you can walk purposefully right in the room you stand in now, right in the conversation you are having, right in the responsibilities you once thought were insignificant. A person living on purpose is not someone who does great things, but someone who does everything in truth, in love, and in the wisdom I have placed within them. Do not forget, purpose always has a cost. Not the cost of meaningless suffering, but the cost of growth. You will need to let go of certain things that no longer fit your journey. Old habits, relationships that drag you down, fears that make you hesitate, ways of thinking that have expired, small dreams that no longer match what I want to give. Letting go of these things is not because I want to take from you, but because I want to place in your hands what you cannot receive if you are still clinging tightly to what is old. As you begin to live according to purpose, there will be people who do not understand you. Some will wonder why you have changed. Some will feel uncomfortable as you step out of the old patterns. Some will try to keep you in the roles they are used to seeing in you. But my child, your purpose is not validated by others. It is spoken by me. Do not let comments knock you off your path. Do not let confused looks pull you back to the old road. Do not let someone else's doubts become limits on your steps. They do not know the journey I am writing in you. They do not see what I am preparing for you. And you do not need them to understand. You only need me to lead. Purpose is not something that appears only when life is favorable. It is most clearly shaped in difficult seasons. Purpose is refined when you stand before hard choices. Purpose becomes sharp when you fight against what tries to pull you away from what I long to give. Purpose grows deep when you learn to stand firm on days when no one supports you. It is inside those fiery furnaces of testing that you discover the strength I placed in your soul long ago, but which was buried under layers of fear. I want you to understand that purpose is not only what you do, but who you become. Purpose is not just action. It is the fruit of a heart rightly directed. A person who carries purpose does not need to strive to impress. The light within them naturally shines. A person who carries purpose does not need to manipulate to gain influence. Influence comes when their heart is straight before me. Purpose is not a position. It is a state of the inner life. And when you live in your true purpose, you will see something wondrous. You no longer feel lost. Not because you know every answer, but because you know you are walking on the path I have drawn for you. My child, one of the clearest signs that someone is stepping into their purpose is that their spirit becomes sensitive to my guidance. You no longer act out of impulse, but out of discernment. You no longer grab every opportunity because not every opportunity comes from me. You no longer rush after everything that seems good because you know that what is good is not always what is right. You no longer choose out of fear, but out of inner peace. When I lead you, you do not need to run. You only need to step, and each step will open to the next. When you live in your true purpose, you cannot fail. Failure only comes when you try to become someone else, when you chase what was never meant for you, when you compare yourself to someone on an entirely different path. But when you walk in the purpose I have ordained, everything you do, even the smallest things, carries eternal value. A word of comfort spoken at the right time. A quiet act of kindness done in secret. A pure decision you choose when no one is looking. All of these resound in my kingdom. You do not need to become someone else to live out your purpose. You only need to become the version I created from the beginning. A restored person, a bearer of light, a faithful heart, a lover of others. One who dares to stand in the night, one who is not shaken by storms. True purpose makes you strong but not proud, humble but not timid, gentle but not weak, firm but not harsh. Purpose makes you into a trustworthy companion, a support to others, a sower of life wherever you walk. The purpose I have for you is not small. It is not trivial. It is not faint. Even if the world does not know, even if others do not see, even if no one gives you a title, the path you are walking is a path that pushes back darkness from the places it once ruled, by your words, by your presence, by your choices, by the actions that carry my breath. My beloved child, when you have taken the first steps into the purpose that has been woven into your soul since the beginning, I desire to lead you further deeper to the place where you do not merely understand that you have a purpose, but learn how to live in that purpose every day. For purpose is not a distant summit for you to conquer once in your lifetime. It is a rhythm of life, a way of spiritual movement, a harmony between your heart and my gentle guidance. Purpose does not bloom in sudden bursts. It grows through endurance, through every small decision in which you choose faithfulness instead of giving up. Choose love instead of shutting down. Choose to take one more step instead of stopping because of fear. My child, purpose does not begin in the spotlight. It begins in quiet places. I often plant my calling in the places that seem most ordinary, where you continue doing things no one sees, where you remain patient with small responsibilities, where you choose to stay faithful even when no one acknowledges it. In those hidden places, I am building the foundation for the great things you will one day step into. If that inner foundation is not firm, you will not be able to carry the weight of what is coming without being crushed by the very glory meant to honor you. You once believed that to live on purpose, you had to change your environment or step into something dramatic. But hear me, purpose does not depend on where you are. It depends on your heart. When your heart moves in rhythm with my leading, you can live your purpose in the room you stand in right now, in the conversation you are having, in the responsibilities you once considered insignificant. A person who walks on purpose is not someone who does great things, but someone who does everything with truth, with love, and with the wisdom I place in them. Do not forget, purpose always has a cost. Not the cost of meaningless suffering, but the cost of maturity. You will have to let go of things that no longer belong to your journey. Old habits, relationships that pull you downward, fears that hold you back, patterns of thought that no longer serve you, and dreams too small for what I desire to place in your hands. Letting go is not my way of taking. It is my way of making room for what I long to give you. When you begin to live according to purpose, some people will not understand. Some will question why you have changed. Some will feel uncomfortable as you step out of old patterns. Some will try to keep you in the roles they are used to seeing you in. But my child, your purpose is not verified by others. It is spoken by me. Do not let opinions distort your direction. Do not let confused glances pull you back to the old path. Do not let the doubts of others become boundaries to your feet. They do not know the story I am writing in you. They do not see the preparations I am doing for you. And they do not need to understand. They only need to witness what I will unfold. Purpose does not appear only when life is easy. It is shaped most deeply in difficult seasons. Purpose is sharpened when you stand at the crossroads of hard choices. Purpose becomes refined when you fight against the things trying to pull you away from what I desire to place in your hands. Purpose is strengthened when you stand firm on days when no one is standing with you. In those furnaces of trial, you discover the strength I placed in your soul long ago but was buried beneath layers of fear. I want you to understand that purpose is not only what you do, it is who you become. Purpose is not merely action. It is the result of a heart aligned with me. A person who walks with purpose does not need to strive to impress. Their inner light shines by itself. A person who walks with purpose does not manipulate to gain influence. Influence comes naturally when their heart is upright before me. Purpose is not a position, it is a spiritual state. And when you live for that purpose, you will notice something miraculous. You no longer feel lost. Not because you know every answer, but because you know you are walking the path I set before you. My child, one of the strongest signs of someone walking on purpose is spiritual sensitivity. You no longer act out of impulse, but out of discernment. You no longer grab every opportunity, because not every opportunity is from me. You no longer chase what looks good, because what is good is not always what is right. You no longer choose out of fear, but out of the peace within your spirit. When I lead you, you do not need to run, you only need to step, and each step will reveal the next. When you live on purpose, you cannot fail. Failure only comes when you try to be someone else, when you chase what was never meant for you, when you measure yourself against someone on a completely different path. But when you walk in the purpose I designed, everything you do, even what seems small, carries eternal weight, a timely word of comfort, a quiet act of kindness, a pure decision made when no one sees. All of these echo in my kingdom. You do not need to become someone different to live your purpose. You need only to become who you were originally created to be. A restored one, a bearer of light, a faithful heart, a person who loves deeply. A person who can stand in darkness without being swallowed by it, a soul unmoved by storms. True purpose makes you strong but not proud, gentle but not fragile, firm but not harsh, humble but not timid. Purpose shapes you into a trustworthy companion, a source of strength for others, a vessel of life wherever you go. The purpose I have for you is not small, it is not ordinary. It is not dim. Even if the world does not see it, even if no one applauds it, even if no title is given to you. The journey you are on is the very journey that pushes back the darkness in places it once ruled, through your words, through your presence, through your decisions, through every action that carries my breath. There are moments when you wonder why the contrast feels so sharp between the times you sense yourself resting in my arms and the times you must face strong winds. But my child, I have never withdrawn from you. There are seasons when I allow you to experience silence, not because my presence has faded, but because I am teaching you how to seek me with deeper discernment. My voice is not always a loud echo. Sometimes it is a subtle stirring within your spirit, a gentle prompting an unexpected peace, or a sense of being upheld even when you cannot see how. Trials are the place where you learn to recognize these delicate signals you were once too restless to perceive. My beloved child, I want to reveal something more about trials. They are always designed to open something within you. Not merely strength, but qualities far deeper than you ever believed. You carried perseverance, kindness in the face of misunderstanding, peace in the midst of chaos, wisdom in seasons that cloud your judgment, endurance when you feel drained. These qualities do not bloom in times of ease. They grow in the seasons when your soul is being stretched, just as trees rooted in windy places develop deeper roots and become far more unshakable in storms. You will also see that some trials do not come from the outside, but from battles within. Fear will try to return, whispering to your heart that you are not strong enough to continue. Doubt will attempt to creep in, shaking your confidence in what I have promised. Weariness will try to stop you simply because you no longer feel the excitement you had at the beginning. But my child, you do not live by emotion. You live by truth. Emotions shift with the wind. But my word, the word I have spoken into your soul, remains forever. You may feel weak, but the truth does not change. You are not walking in your own strength. As you walk on purpose, there will be days when you must stand firm without applause. No one was cheering. No one understands. No one sees the hidden battles you are fighting. Yet it is in these days that your soul learns to lean on what no one can take from you, my presence. You will discover that faithfulness is most beautiful not when others are watching, but when only I can see. The trials you are facing are not obstacles, they are disguised doorways. Under the dust of difficulty lie the gemstones of deeper understanding about who I am. Beneath the fog of uncertainty is the wisdom you will need for the next season. Under the weight of pressure is the strength I am drawing out from within you. What you once thought was hindrance is actually training. What you once thought was loss is in truth release. What you once thought was moving backward is actually going deeper to take root. Trials do not come to place a period at the end of your story. They come to place a comma in the narrative I am writing. And one day you will look back and realize that the darkest parts of your journey became the most beautiful, for they formed a strength nothing else could have produced. A strength not born of confidence but of surrender. Not of willpower but of trust. Not of personal resolve but of knowing to whom you belong. Do not fear the trials. They are simply evidence that you are drawing closer to what I have ordained. I am building in you a strength that only the winds of adversity can shape. And you will see no storm is strong enough to pull you from my hand. You belong to me. And no trial has the authority to change that. Child steadfastness is not merely the ability to stand firm against the wind. It is the inner posture where you learn to partner with me even in the midst of the storm. For there are things I can only teach you while winds are raging around you, when the ground beneath you feels soft, when everything you once leaned on can no longer hold you. And in that seemingly fragile moment, the strongest part of your soul begins to unfold. You often think steadfastness means not being moved, but it is not so. Steadfastness is not the unmoving solidity of a rock, but the enduring resilience of an ancient tree. Its trunk may sway with the wind, but its roots cling deeply into the earth. In the same way, there will be days when your heart trembles under pressure, when your eyes grow wet with tears, when your hands feel tired after long battles. Yet these feelings are not signs of failure. They simply reveal that you are a living soul, growing, stretching, being refined. What makes you steadfast is not that you never tremble, but that you know where your roots truly lie, my child. Your roots are not in the stability of circumstances. Your roots are not in the approval of people. Your roots are not in the certainty of your plans. Your roots are in me, the one who never changes. When you learn to root yourself in me, the stronger the wind blows, the deeper your roots will grow. The greater the pressure, the stronger your inner foundation becomes. The more difficult the season, the more you will recognize that my presence has never left you. There are trials meant to show you how far you have grown. Not so I can know, for I already see it clearly, but so that you can recognize it for yourself. There were times when you thought you were fragile, yet in the trial you discovered you no longer collapsed the way you once did. Times when you thought you would never make it through, yet you found yourself standing not by any reason except my strength holding you. Times when you believed your soul was too delicate, yet when the winds rose, you realized the resilience I planted within you runs deeper than any fear. Trials are also the place where you learn to discern what is my voice and what is the voice of chaos. When everything around you is quiet, anyone can hear me. But in the storm, only those whose spirits have been refined can recognize my voice among 1,000 others. And it is in those moments that steadfastness becomes precious. You stand firm, not because every signal is clear, but because you recognize my voice, even at its faintest. My voice does not force, does not roar, does not threaten. It comes as an inner peace, a steady undercurrent, a warm breath in the coldness of night. Child, Sometimes trials come not to break you, but to cut away the things you think you need, but are actually weighing you down. There are things you hold on to, not because they are good, but because you fear letting go. There are people you keep in your life not because they belong to your journey, but because you fear loneliness. There are plans you cling to not because I have led you into them, but because you fear change. Yet trials expose what no longer belongs to you, and I use those very trials to free you from chains that peace could not touch. Do not think that when a door closes in the midst of trial, you have lost something precious. Sometimes the door closes because I am protecting your soul from harm. Sometimes the door closes because that season has ended. Sometimes the door closes because I am preparing to open one that is greater, brighter, more aligned with the shape of your spirit. I never close a door without intending to open another. But in order to see the new door, you must learn not to despair at the old one. True steadfastness does not come from knowing what the future holds. It comes from knowing you do not walk alone. When you know I am in the boat with you, you can sleep even when the waves are crashing. When you know I am holding your hand, you can walk on water even as the wind pushes against you. When you know I am your shelter, you no longer need to brace yourself against everything. You simply lean into the truth that I am covering you. My beloved child, I know that many times you are not tired because the wind is too strong, but because you have been fighting for too long. Steadfastness does not mean never feeling exhausted. It means knowing how to come close to me when you are. You were never called to carry the world on your shoulders. You were never created to bear burdens beyond your strength. You were never born to be the one who holds everything together. You were born to walk with me. And when you learn to place your burdens into my hands, you will discover that the strength you need is not found in straining, but in surrender. Steadfastness is not built on dramatic victories, but on quiet decisions, the decision not to let go, even when your emotions feel fragile, the decision not to doubt what I have spoken despite contradictory circumstances, the decision not to step back, even when the path ahead seems unclear, the decision to trust my voice more than the voice of disappointment within you, the decision to rise one more time, even when you think you have no strength left. Each of these decisions becomes a solid stone in the foundation of your endurance. I want you to understand this truth. Steadfastness does not merely help you stand, it shapes you into a refuge for others. Those who tremble will find peace near you. Those who are confused will find clarity in the stillness of your soul. Those who are afraid will be strengthened by the resilience you have built through trials. You become an anchor for unsteady hearts, not because you are perfect, but because you have learned to stand through me. Trials do not come to make you shrink back, but to widen the capacity of your spirit. And when you come through a season of strong winds, you will understand that your steadfastness was not forged by fear, but by my love, love that does not shift, does not fade, does not withdraw. You can face the winds because you know the winds do not have the final say. You can face the waves because you know the sea cannot exceed my authority. You can face the darkness because you know the light I placed within you cannot be extinguished. My child, you were created to stand. My beloved child, steadfastness is not just so you can remain standing, it is so you can keep moving forward. Steadfastness is not a shield for surviving. It is the pair of feet that will carry you beyond the limits of the old season and into the land I have prepared for you. Many people think steadfastness means waiting passively until the storm passes. But my intention for you goes far beyond that. I do not want you merely to endure. I want you to grow. Not merely to survive, I want you to flourish. Not merely to hold on, I want you to bear fruit. Steadfastness is not clinging to life. Steadfastness is walking in life. For you to move forward, I want you to understand something profound. True steadfastness begins with a heart that has been healed. A wounded heart cannot travel far. It only struggles to survive day by day. A heart full of doubt cannot advance. It keeps circling back to question every step it has taken. A heart weighed down by fear cannot cross barriers. It imagines the worst before it even begins. But a heart that I have healed becomes strong, peaceful, and ready. Such a heart does not run from trials. It faces them with trust. It does not tremble before uncertainty. It steps into the future with serenity. I know the wounds you carry are not easily erased. There are wounds that run deep, memories that cause you to tremble each time they resurface, fears born from experiences no one else knows you endured. But my child's steadfastness is not pretending those wounds do not exist. True steadfastness is placing those wounds into my hands so I may heal them. A strong soul is not a soul that has never broken, but a soul that has been restored by me. Sometimes trials come not to defeat you, but to reveal what has been hidden inside you, things long buried under the comfort of quiet seasons. There are places of the heart that gentle light cannot reach, so I use the storm to open them. There are pains that silence cannot heal, so I use trials to bring them to the surface where my touch can reach them. There are things you thought you had left behind that still influence your decisions. I allow trials so you may see them, face them, and be released from them. I never leave you alone in this process. I never ask you to heal yourself. I do not expect you to carry each wound to me by sheer effort. I only ask you to open your heart and say, Lord, please touch this part of me. When you do that, true steadfastness begins to form because it no longer relies on your capability but on my healing. My child's steadfastness is not the strength of yesterday, but the strength for each day. I do not ask you to be strong for your entire life. I only ask you to be strong today. Tomorrow's strength will come with tomorrow. My spirit will be sufficient for every step. This means everything you need to walk through today has already been placed in your hands. The rest I will take care of. You do not need to see the whole path to continue. You only need to follow the light I put at your feet. Steadfastness is a small act of trust repeated day after day until it becomes great strength. A small step taken each day until it becomes a long journey. A small prayer whispered each day until it became the wellspring of your soul. A small surrender each day until it becomes great freedom. Sometimes you think steadfastness is a character trait you must build by effort. But hear me, steadfastness is a gift born out of companionship. When you are in me and I am in you, it is my presence that keeps you standing. You do not need to strain to appear strong. You simply hold on to me. I am the one who makes you steadfast. There will be days when you walk with steadiness, even in the middle of the storm, but there will also be days when all you can do is stand still and hold on to what I have spoken, and that too is steadfastness. There will be days you feel ready for anything ahead, but there will also be days when all you can say is, Lord, please hold me, and my child, those are the days I am closest to you. I am never disappointed by your weakness. I am never tired of your questions. I never turn away when you tremble. I stand beside you. I cover you. I lift you up. And I do this not because you are strong, but because you belong to me. Your steadfastness will become a testimony to those around you. When they see the light you carry through trials, they will recognize a strength that does not come from human effort. When they see the peace in your eyes, they will know there is a presence covering you. When they see you stand in situations they assumed would break you, they will understand that someone greater than the storm is with you. Light shines most powerfully, not at noon, but in the deepest night. And my child, steadfastness opens the door that leads you into a new season. When you stand firm in one season, you step into the next with a strength you never had before. The things that once frightened you no longer make you tremble. The things that once stirred doubt no longer shake your heart. The things that once held you back now become the very things that propel you forward. Trials do more than strengthen you, they make way for you. They do more than shape you. They make you worthy of the gifts, the anointing, and the doors I have prepared. Not because you are flawless, but because you have learned to hold on to me in every season. I tell you these things so you will know that the steadfastness being built within you does not end here. It is the bridge that carries you into a new chapter, one heaven has already prepared, one your soul has grown enough to enter, one in which my light in you will shine brighter, deeper, and stronger than ever before. My beloved child, when you have walked through seasons of trial, endured long nights of trembling, stood firm against headwinds, and continued learning to trust me in the most uncertain circumstances, I want to lead you into a deeper realm, one your soul was always meant to belong to. This is the place where external movement is no longer the center, where the noise of life can no longer shake your inner being, where you begin to realize that everything you once called goals was only a bridge leading you toward what I truly desire, a union between you and me. Not a union built on effort or discipline, but on pure love, on complete surrender, on the deep knowing that I do not stand at a distance somewhere in the universe watching you from afar. I am so close that every breath you take passes through the sustaining touch of my presence. I want you to know that the ultimate purpose of your journey is not for you to become strong or extraordinary, not for you to conquer circumstances or achieve things that impress people, but for you to understand how deeply, how truly, and how steadfastly I love you. As you walk far enough, you will see that every trial I allowed carried one same purpose: to draw you closer to me. I used seasons of silence to teach you that my love is not measured by what you feel. I used seasons of delay to show you that my faithfulness does not operate according to your timeline. I used seasons where you felt alone so that you might discover I never left you, and that you simply needed to look into a deeper dimension where my presence has always been. When you stand there, when you begin to recognize me, in each breath, each moment, each gentle light on the face of someone passing by, you will realize your soul has been led into the union I ordained before you ever existed. In that union, you no longer see me through the fog of fear, but through the clarity of trust. You no longer pray as a stranger, but converse as one deeply known. You no longer search for me in confusion, because you realize I am quietly present in the smallest details of your ordinary moments. Child, union with me is not a reward for the perfect, but a refuge for the honest. I do not ask you to come with a flawless heart. I ask you to come with an open one. And when you draw near to me in this way, you will see that the burdens, once weighing down your shoulders, begin to melt under the warmth of my presence. Not because circumstances shift immediately, but because my light gives you new eyes to see. Anxiety no longer fills your thoughts because you know I handle every detail. Fear of loss no longer binds you because you have realized the most precious thing, my presence, has never left you. The things that once unsettled your soul no longer have the power to disturb its stillness because you have learned to place your heart in the hands of the one who never changes. You will begin to sense something many hear about but never touch: the harmony between my will and your will. Not because I force you to abandon yourself, but because your very being becomes transformed in my light. As you step deeper into this intimacy, you will see that the things I desire for you are the very things your soul has always longed for but never felt brave enough to name. You will see that the holy desires rising within you are not random. They are heaven's echoes inside you. You will see that the things that move your heart are not human fantasies, but the melodies of my spirit, resonating in your being. And when you understand this, you will realize union is not losing yourself, but finding yourself in me. I want you to live in this union, not only when you pray, not only when you worship, not only when you meditate on my word, but in every moment of your life. I want you to recognize me in the morning breeze, in sunlight, filtering through leaves in the warmth rising from a cup of tea, in the lonely footsteps on an empty street, in the quiet tears upon your pillow at night. I am not absent from those moments. I am present within them. And when you learn to sense me in the seemingly mundane, our union becomes so deep that you no longer distinguish between my voice and the voice of your own heart, because the two have become one continuous flow. This is where I want to lead you. This is the summit of the journey you have walked. This is the moment your soul begins to shine, not because you strive to be radiant, but because my light reflected in you has become complete. In this union, you will understand that everything you have gone through, both the beautiful seasons and the tear-filled nights, was never meaningless. They were the road guiding you closer to me, closer, deeper, truer. And now you stand at the threshold of that place where my arms are open for you, where my love has no end, where your inner life is renewed day by day, where you truly know that you belong to me and I belong to you. My child, true union is not merely the feeling of being near me. It is the recognition that I am in you, even when your mind cannot yet comprehend it, even when your emotions are unsettled, even when your circumstances do not look spiritual at all. This is a union that transcends fleeting feelings, surface signs, and the analytical limits of human understanding. It is an invisible yet powerful bond that brings your soul into a state of stability, clarity, and resilience in moments that once overwhelmed you. Remember, this union is not formed in moments of intense spiritual excitement, but in the quiet moments when you choose to stay with me, even when you feel nothing special. When you continue to seek me on days without signs, when you give me your heart though no one urges you, when you return to me at the end of weary evenings, without expecting immediate miracles, these quiet moments weave a connection deeper than anything else. I am not only present in bright mornings or inspirational hours, I am present in the steady rhythm of your breathing, in the unnoticed moments that seem ordinary to others. And when you turn your heart toward me in those moments, our union grows, not loudly, not dramatically, but securely, like roots sinking deep into the earth, unseen, yet immovable. My beloved child, when you have walked through seasons of trial, when you have endured long nights of trembling, when you have stood firm against contrary winds and learned to trust me in the most ambiguous circumstances, I want to lead you into a deeper realm, one your soul was always designed to belong to. This is the space where outward movements no longer dictate your inner state, where the noise of life loses its power to shake your spirit, and where you begin to realize that everything you once considered to be the goal was merely a bridge, leading you to what I truly desired all along, the union between me and you. Not a union forged through striving or discipline, but one born from pure love, from surrendered willingness, from the deep awareness that I am not watching you from afar across the universe. I am closer than your own breath, and every breath you inhale passes through my sustaining touch. I want you to understand that the ultimate purpose of your journey is not for you to become strong or exceptional, not for you to conquer circumstances or achieve what astonishes the world, but for you to know deeply, truly, unshakably, how profound, how real, and how enduring my love for you is. As you walk far enough, you will recognize that every trial I allowed you to face carried the same purpose: to draw you nearer to me. I used seasons of silence to teach you that my love does not depend on feelings. I used times of delay so you would see that my faithfulness is not bound to your timeline. I used moments when you felt alone so you would discover I had never left you. You simply needed to learn to look into a deeper dimension where my presence has always been constant. And when you stand in that place, when you begin to perceive me in every heartbeat, every moment, every glimmer of light on a stranger's face, you will realize your soul is being led into the unity I ordained for you before you ever existed. In that unity, you do not look at me through the fog of fear, but through the clarity of trust. You do not speak to me as a stranger begging for attention, but as one who belongs in my embrace. You do not search for me in confusion, but recognize me in the most ordinary moments. My child, union with me is not a reward for the flawless. It is a refuge for the sincere. I do not ask you to come to me with a flawless heart. I ask you to come with an open one. And when you draw near to me, in this way you will discover that the burdens once weighing upon your shoulders begin to melt in the warmth of my presence. Not because circumstances suddenly change, but because my light causes you to see everything differently. Worry no longer occupies your mind because you now know I orchestrate every detail. The fear of loss no longer binds you because you have come to understand that the most precious gift, my presence, has never left you. The things that once disturbed your peace lose their grip, not because they disappear, but because your heart is anchored in me, the one who never changes. You will begin to experience what many hear about, but never touch the alignment between my will and your own. Not because I force you to abandon who you are, but because who you are becomes transformed in my light. As you enter deeper into this communion, you will see that the things I desire for you are the very things your soul has longed for, but never dared to name. You will see that the holy desires rising within you are not random. They are the echo of heaven planted inside you. You will see that the things that stir your spirit are not the fantasies of human imagination, but the soundtrack of my heart resonating within yours. And when you recognize this, you will understand that union with me does not erase your identity, it restores it. I want you to step into this union not only when you pray, not only when you worship, not only when you meditate on my words, but in every moment of your life. I want you to recognize me in the morning breeze, in the light filtering through the leaves, in the warm steam rising from your cup of tea, in the lonely footsteps echoing on a quiet street, even in the tears soaking your pillow at night. I am not far from such moments. I am right there. And when you learn to sense me in what seems trivial, our union will deepen to the point where you no longer distinguish between my voice and your own heart's whisper, for they will flow as one continuous stream. This is where I long to lead you. This is the high place of your journey. This is the moment when your soul begins to shine, not because you strive to be radiant, but because my light has become complete within you. In this unity, you will know that every season you walked through, both the beautiful ones and the tear-filled ones, was never meaningless. They were stepping stones bringing you closer to me, deeper into truth, steadier in love. And now you stand at the threshold of that place, the place where I hold my arms open for you, where my love has no end, where my life renews yours each day, where you finally know you belong to me and I belong to you. My child, true union is not merely the sense of being close to me. It is the awareness that I am within you, even when your mind cannot perceive it, even when your emotions are unsettled, even when nothing around you appears spiritual at all. This is a union that goes beyond momentary feelings, beyond outward signs, beyond human reasoning. It is a binding of spirit so deep and steady that it anchors your soul even in circumstances you once thought unbearable. Remember, union is not formed in moments of intense inspiration, but in quiet moments when you choose to stay with me, even when nothing feels extraordinary. When you seek me on days with no signs, when you give me your heart with no urging from others, when you return to me at the end of a weary day, without asking for an instant miracle, these ordinary moments build a connection more enduring than anything else. I am not only present in bright mornings or stirring worship, I am present in each steady breath, in unnoticed seconds, in the simplicity of being. When you turn your heart toward me in such moments, our union grows, not loudly, not dramatically, but with the quiet certainty of roots growing deep into the earth, unseen, yet immovable. The fullness you find in me also means you begin to see the larger picture of your life. Those pieces that once felt meaningless, Those pains that seemed like relentless undercurrents, those losses that felt as though they shattered your soul, all of them become clearer when you place them in my hands. Not because I desired for you to suffer them, but because I know how to turn every broken fragment into part of a glorious design. You will look back and see that nothing was wasted. No tear was shed in vain. No step wandered off the path, for my hand was there, quiet, patient, and full of mercy, weaving together the story you are living. Understand that fullness does not make life less challenging, but it makes you different than before. When storms come, you no longer tremble as you once did, because you know that the storm cannot reach the deepest place within you, the place where I dwell. When great waves rise, you no longer fear being swallowed, because you know I am the very calm foundation on which you stand. When a dead end appears, you no longer despair, because you know I never lead you to a place without a way through. In this fullness, you do more than feel peace. You become peace for those who are shaken around you. You will walk with the lightness of a soul no longer bound by what is temporary. The wounds caused by others will not break you as easily. The careless words of people will not unsettle your heart. Comparisons, competitions, and striving will no longer draw you in, for you know your worth cannot be measured by the fleeting standards of this world. You will walk as one who understands that you are not living merely for today, but for eternity that has already been planted within you. The fullness you find in me turns your heart into fertile ground where what is good can take root. Your thoughts grow purer because they are no longer shaped by insecurity. Your words become gentler because you no longer feel the need to protect yourself with hardness. Your decisions become wiser because fear no longer leads them. Fullness does not make you perfect, it makes you authentic, and that authenticity is what allows you to shine in the way I desire. As you enter fullness, you will feel more clearly than ever that I am not only the one who leads you, but the one who walks with you in every rhythm of your life. You will no longer think of me as a distant being who must be searched for, but as the one beside you, speaking with you, listening to every movement of your soul, loving you with a tenderness no one else can replace. When you sense this, you will understand that fullness in me is not the end of the journey. It is the state from which every new journey begins. My child, I want to whisper one last truth to you, something I long for you to carry in your heart forever. You never have to walk this journey alone. From the first step to the last, from the day you lifted your eyes in confusion to the moment you stood in peace, from the times you stumbled to the moments you rose with strength, I have always been there, quiet, patient, faithful, and full of mercy. There has not been a single moment I did not watch over you, not a single prayer I ignored, not a single sigh I failed to hear. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. You belong to me, and I belong to you. This is not a period. This is a doorway into a new life, a life where you walk not only by faith, but with the deep awareness that you are now united with me. When you step out from this place, you do not step out as one who was once afraid, once broken, once overwhelmed. You step out as one reborn, healed, lifted, transformed, and invited into a life overflowing with my light. You will walk not to search for me, but to experience me. Not to prove anything, but to live in the freedom of one who knows to whom they belong. And my beloved child, I speak to you with all the love of the one who created you. Keep moving forward, keep your heart open, and live with the joy of knowing that I am with you. Nothing can separate you from my love. Nothing can pull you from my hand. Nothing can stop my light from shining through your life. You are mine, now and forever. Thank you for listening to this message today. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving living words together, building unwavering faith, and walking daily in the boundless love of God. Amen.